Okay, oopsies. Welcome everyone. Welcome to our new face, Reb Shmuel. Happy to see you. A few people are away this week again. One of them is my wife, of course, is working tonight, so we'll have to watch the recording afterwards. So we're starting a new Torah in Likutei Moharan, Torah Gimel, number 3. And I always have to say, it's a fantastic time to dig in and really pay attention, because to start a Torah in Likutei Moharan from beginning to end and follow every step, try really hard to follow along and to dig in, is a real special experience if you can get all the way through a single Torah from beginning to end. And we're getting to, I didn't say this in the beginning, but there's a real peak that takes place when we get to Torah Vav, number 6, which is still to this day the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my entire life in any aspect whatsoever. and we're going to get there. We're halfway through there now. So this Torah that we're starting now, Torah Gimel, is a little shorter, and it's not too difficult, but there's a tremendous introduction that needs to take place in a few different realms. So if you want to pass these around, most of this class will be introduction to this Torah and the concepts involved in it, and then we'll probably finish it in 2 weeks after that. Quick note to everybody, also, I will not be here the coming week. I'll be out of town, so we're going to have to take a break then. Okay, so this Torah, one of the main concepts that we're dealing with in this Torah is the concept of music and the voice and where it comes from. And not only that, but also what is the essence of music? Where does it come from in the upper worlds? And how can it be used for good and bad? Now, I happen to know that there's, for sure, at least 2 people here at the table who are very, very into music. Rebbe Shmuel and Menachem are super into music. And so we're going to see some things that are going to shed a lot of light onto this idea of music and what it does for us. And some of them may be a little shock us out of our path a little bit, and we'll see how they come out. One of the things we're going to talk about is the negativity associated with listening to music or listening to singers who are not from a holy place, and how damaging it can be. But if that's like making you say, I got to get out of here, I can't handle it, right? Then you should know that one of the parts of this Torah is a tikkun for that you should be able to hear such a thing and still be okay. So there's going to be all that involved here. But let's talk for a minute, before we hear the story that started this whole Torah off, the origin story of this Torah, let's talk a little bit about this concept of music. So the Zohar talks about music and says that one of the tremendous pleasures in Gan Eden is really music, a type of music. There's some aspect of music that exists in the upper worlds that is going to be a tremendous pleasure to the neshama after we get upstairs. And so listen to this. So Rabbeinu brings down on Sichas Aran the following idea. I had to write this down because it's so out of this world. It's so amazing. So he said like this. So every Friday night, one of the things we say in davening is Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbos. Right? Everybody knows that one? If you like music, by the way, there's a great version of that song by Eitan Katz. I recommend it. So the story behind that Tehillim is that Adam HaRishon made up that Tehillim right after Cain killed Hevel, and he did tshuva. And Adam HaRishon realized the power of tshuva. He stood up right away and said this Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbos, which has a lot of aspects of tshuva written into it and conceptually involved in it. So Rabbeinu brings down from the Kisvei Ari, from the Zohar, I think, that so just like we know, we've talked many times how there's the spiritual realm and our physical realm, and they both exist simultaneously, and they're kind of like a mirror of one another, right? So just like Friday night, we're in shul and we're singing Mizmor Shir, and there's a shliach tzibur. So too in Shamayim, there's some similar type of existence where there's a certain malach, a certain type of spiritual force that is the shliach tzibur, that sings specifically Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbos. And this is the way that malach is described. It says that in Shemayim there's a malach, that's the Shliach Tzibur, and he has 1,000 heads, and each head has 1,000 tongues, and each tongue can give 1,000 different sounds at each moment. So, think for a moment. Imagine you have you're looking at a stage in a concert hall, and you have one violin, right? And the violin's playing, beautiful song, tremendous violinist, right? Gorgeous, beautiful, right? What happens when you add one more violin to that? So anyone who really knows about sound engineering and acoustics and music knows as soon as you add another violin, you don't just have two voices, right? When you have one violin and another violin playing a note in harmony, you have something called chorusing, where many other voices are created and you have overtones. So those sounds that you think you hear are only two violins, really you're hearing a lot of other sounds. And that's why when you have two things playing together, it sounds so much more amazing, right? Two things in harmony, two voices in harmony, it just expands to such a greater extent, right? So now imagine you take that violin and you make a whole violin section. So now you have a whole exponential version of that, right? Then you add in the cellos and the violas, right? And suddenly you have multi-part harmonies, and you have a lower register and a mid-register and high register. You add in the basses, right? And there, the bass sound, the higher, the lower you go in the frequency scale, the less directional it is, right? So the violin will be coming at one specific direction. The bass kind of fills the room. You have all these different sounds coming together. Then you add the horns and the rest of the woodwinds and everything, right? And all of a sudden you have this sound that there's nothing like it in the world when you sit and listen to a symphony, right? There's nothing like it. It can't be replicated on a CD or a MP3, whatever we have nowadays, whatever the kids are listening to nowadays, right? It can't be replicated like that. And it can't be electronically replicated. Just that live version of hearing all those tones and overtones and multi-frequencies is just out of this world. Beautiful, right? So now, imagine, we're talking about, I think, 1 trillion voices from this malach upstairs, right? Imagine the tremendous effect, the tremendous overwhelming nature of such music, right? It's an interesting idea. It's way, way up there in the Kabbalistic realm. I don't think, I'm not a Kabbalist, I don't know about you guys, right? But I don't fully understand exactly what's going on here, but it's just amazing to see that there's some kind of unbelievable musical aspect to the upper worlds that that's being related to us in a musical way. We're supposed to understand it and relate to it in a musical way. So you can see that music is tremendously precious to our tradition, right? Not only that, just look throughout history, right? Besides, I'm not talking about Jewish culture necessarily, but Jewish culture is full of music, right? But everything we do has music involved in it. Our tefillahs have music, and we're going to get to the Torah in 1 second, which is really a very special aspect of it. But, a wedding, you have to have music. Any simcha, we have to have music and dancing and singing. The Nesiv Shalom says in a bunch of places that a Jew should be moiser nefesh, should risk their life, should give up their life in order to be able to sit together with Jews on Shabbos and sing together. Right? It's so important and it's so uplifting and inspiring to our souls. It's tremendously, it's totally tied into our tradition. A couple other ideas. So when Levi was born and named, right, in the Torah, it says, V'taharoid v'teled, so she became pregnant again, and Leah, and she gave birth. V'tomer, hapam oides Hashem, sorry, that's Yehuda, one before that. V'taharoid v'teled ben, v'tomer, ata hapam, this time, yelave ishi elai, my husband will come together with me, will make, okay, the word Levi is usually connected to the word like Levaya, right? Levaya means to escort, right? So one of the 3 mitzvahs that Avram Avinu was famous for was giving food, drink, and an escort to the people that came to him. Achila, shtia, and levia, right? And when someone passes away, we make a levaya, we're escorting them to their resting place, right? So too, a Melava Malka, Milave Malka, you're escorting, you're coming together with the Shabbos queen to escort her out, right? So Levi got this name because Leah thought, I have now fulfilled the number of children that I'm supposed to have for Yaakov Avinu, right? He was supposed to have 12 sons, and the mothers knew this. There was 4 of them, so each of them were supposed to have 3. So on her 3rd son, she named him Levi, because she thought, now that I've done this, I've done my part, my husband's now going to be mamish right together with me, right? We're going to be very strong together. So it's explained in a deeper way, right? This is so gorgeous. That what did Levi ultimately become in the Beis Hamikdash?
The singers.
The singers, exactly. The Leviim in the Beis Hamikdash were the ones that made the music, right? So the deeper sources say that at this point, when Levi was born, it's like music in a certain sense, in a spiritual sense, was brought into existence. So what's Leah saying? And also, the name Levi also connotes, beyond escorting, it connotes devekis, connecting, coming together. So she said, now I'm going to come together with my husband on a much stronger level, because he was born, right? But on a deeper level, what's she saying? Now that there's music in the world, now we're going to be able to come closer to Hashem. We're going to be able to connect to Hashem on a tremendously deep level. The Shechina and the Kadosh Baruch Hu are going to link together. We are going to come together. There's going to be all this devekas taking place. Why? Because holy music is coming into the world. Isn't that unbelievable? Beautiful idea. Mind-blowing. So we're starting to paint a picture here that music is not just what you kick back, put the feet up, and drink a beer to, right? Or worse. Right?
Levi
Music is something very deep. What?
Levi also has the 2 letters except for the Hey in the name of Hashem.
Yeah.
With the letter Lamed ahead of it, Lamed meaning 2 in Hebrew.
Right. Oh, to Hashem.
It's to Hashem.
Right.
Just if you go the other way, as opposed to if you go from
Yeah.
Yud, Vav,
Yeah.
Lamed,
I
as
see.
opposed to Lamed, Vav, Yud.
Yeah. Beautiful. Okay, so that's one aspect. Now we're going to get a little Kabbalistic for a short time, but it's pretty awesome. I don't think I brought the Sefer down here. Okay, so let's talk about basic level Kabbalah. We've talked about this a few times, that we have the general way that we understand the emanation of Hashem into our existence, the light of Hashem coming into our existence, is through His name, Yud Kei Vav Kei, right? And we understand that there's, generally speaking, I don't want to simplify this too much, but generally speaking, 4 universes between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? Which are Atzilus, Beriah, Yetzirah, and Asiyah, right? And each one of those correspond to one of those letters, Yud, and then Hey, and then Vav, and then Hey, right? So too, the same exact structure can be seen in the way that the Hebrew alphabet is written in the Sefer Torah. Okay? So in the Kisvei Arizal, this is brought down close to the beginning, and it was called Shar HaTanta, which is not the Yiddish auntie, not Tanta Rachel, right? No, it's Shar HaTanta. So Tanta is an acronym for Tamim, Nekudos, Tagin, and Oisios, which are, Tamim is the musical notes, the way because as you know, we sing the Torah when we read it, right? Nekudos are the vowels. Tagin are the crowns written on the letters, you know, the little crowns? I don't know. Crowns. And Oisios are the letters. So these 4 aspects also relate to those 4 letters of the name of Hashem and those 4 universes, and they follow the same order. They're in the same pattern, right? So Tamim, the musical notes, are corresponding to that highest universe of Atzilus. And so on it goes down to the Nekudos being Bria, and the Tagin being Yetzirah, and the Oisios being Asiyah, right? But you see that the musical aspect of the way we read the Torah is the highest, right? I wouldn't have thought that. I would have thought that maybe the letters themselves would be the highest. That's why I'm not a Kabbalist, right? Right? But the highest aspect of the Sefer Torah and the way we read it is the musical cantillations that we sing the Torah with. The highest aspect. It corresponds to the Yud and the world of Atzilus. Unbelievable, right? Not only that, so if you look in a Sefer Torah, everybody wants, after we finish the Shir, we can open up a Sefer Torah and look actually inside it. But you'll look and you'll see that only 2 of those are written in the Sefer Torah, right? All you have are the letters, the oisos, and the tagin, the crowns. There's no vowels, nekudos, and there's no musical notes. So anyone who's a Baal Koreh, who has to read from the Torah, has to have memorized all the vowels and all of the musical notes. And they're not visible there. But on a deeper level, why are they not visible there? Right? Because they're so holy that they are not allowed to come into Olam Hazeh. Like they exist in the upper worlds. They can't be brought down and written down in the Sefer Torah. The musical aspect of the Torah doesn't even get written down, right? It has to exist only in the upper realms. It's amazing, right? So all these ideas that we just spoke about in this introduction, you guys can see it afterwards. Amazing stuff. It's just to speak about the spiritual nature of music and how it's part of our tradition on the deepest level. The deepest level. And it's tremendously powerful. So, you can think about just Pashit. When we listen to music, it has a tremendous effect on our emotions. And in the same way, it has a tremendous effect on our spirituality. So the idea is that we have to be very careful with it. And we're going to see, when we start the Torah, hopefully today, what it's all about. Okay, everybody with me? Okay, so we're going to see now, on the paper that I handed out. They have one down there? Good. So, we mentioned in one of the previous shiurim that a lot of the Torahs in the Likutei Moharan have a story behind them about how they came into existence, right? And they were often taught at a certain time, and they're like a reflection of what was going on at that time, right? So this is a story. It's a little bit long, but it's very interesting and very important to understand the whole aspect of this Torah. So we're going to see the whole thing. It's also a good story. It's mamish like a soap opera. Not joking. So, lahavdil. Soap opera wishes it was this good. But. Okay, so let's see. So it starts at the letter Gimel here, Inyan. Okay? Goes like this. Inyan Torah, Gimel. So the idea of this Torah, Inyan Negina, that is talking about music, Nisgaga ede siba. It happened because of a specific cause. She ha'admor zal, that Rabbeinu, haya be'ledizhin, al Shabbos Kodesh. He was staying in this town called Ledizhin, which is in Ukraine, Russia area. And he was there for Shabbos. Shayusham be'ir hazois anshe mispar mekuravim la'admor zal. There were a bunch of Breslovers in the city at the time who were followers of Rebbe Nachman. Ubechlal be'ir hazeh haya rubam yoedim ha'machlokas shel hazakan ha'yadua. And in this city, everyone was very aware of the machlokes that was going on against Rebbe Nachman from what he says over here, the zaken ha'yadua, that elderly person that we all know about, which is of course referring to the Shpola Zayda, who was very up in arms against Rebbe Nachman. The way that the story goes is that they were close at one time, and then some people who were against Rebbe Nachman went and started telling him all kinds of negative things and making up stories, and he turned against Rebbe Nachman and became one of his staunchest enemies, unfortunately. At least an enemy from his side. I don't think Rebbe Nachman saw it that way. Afal Pikain, but they were afraid of saying anything bad against Rabbeinu. They welcomed him with open arms. They welcomed him with tremendous derech eretz. But there were a few people in the city who refused to come out and greet him. And it happened to be that particular Shabbos, that the Rebbeinu was there, Ben Zachar, one of the people there who was a follower of Rebbe Nachman, had a son that week. A son was born to him. Hanikra Shalom Zachar. So they made a Shalom Zachar. Right? Everybody knows what Shalom Zachar is, right? He's going to say, Minhag Yisrael me'ar Shulchan Aruch. It's a Minhag Yisrael that's from the Shulchan Aruch. Sheholchin u'masasvin anoshim achar Suda Shabbos Kodesh, that people come together after their main Shabbos Suda on Friday night. Be'erev lebeis ha'noilad, to the house where the baby was born. Ve'yoshvin sham mesubin al shulchan, and they sit around the table over there, of the table of the Balabayas. b'mine peiros, ma'adonim, u'mashkois, and they have different kinds of fruits and delicacies and drinks, right? Can you imagine if they would see a table of a Shalom Zachar nowadays with the sushi and cakes and all this, right? They had, their candy was actually fruits, right? Nuts and fruits. V'achazan de'ir, so listen to this. The chazan de'ir hazeh, hayagam ken muchrach lavo, hayagam ken l'suda halazeh. So it happened to be that in this city, happened to be that the job of the chazan, this was like a regular deal back in those days. There was a chazan who was the paid chazan of the city, of the shul, and part of his job was that he had to go to these little events. He had to go to the Shalom Zachar, for example. Ki behabris hu oise mishaberach lechol achas v'noisnim loikol achas kefi matnas yadai avor mishaberach. Because they had also this minig that at the bris, that he would make a mishaberach for each person, a special mishaberach, and everyone would give him money, whatever they could afford, as part of the schus of having this mishaberach. So for him, in other words, it's a lucrative position when a baby is born, a baby boy is born. He gets to do this thing at the bris, and part of it is that he has to come to the Shalom Zachar and be mesameach and sing and use his voice to help the event, right? And since he was one of these people who was against Rebbe Nachman, right? He sat at the way other end of the table, away from Rebbe Nachman, right? So, in other words, a quick lesson that you can learn from this, by the way. This sefer, by the way, was written by Rabbi Avram ben Rebbe Nachman, not Rebbe Nachman, one of his Talmidim, who was one of the famous in the Breslov line. One thing you can learn is that when you go somewhere and there's a tzaddik there, there's a Talmud Chacham there, whatever it is, the proper mode of behavior is to try to be close to that person. Some people may think, I'm going to sit back here and in the very back and look cool, right? That's not the avodah of a Jew, right? We should be, I heard Rebbe Nachman Likutei explained that we should be like little children who are clamoring to get to something that they all want, right? And that's the place where we throw our kavod aside in order to give kavod to the Talmud Chacham that we're going to see, right? So this guy over here, this chazan, was doing the opposite, and he sat way at the other end of the table, right? And the minhag was that the chazan had to sing the Shabbos Zmiros at the event, right? Get it going. And he wouldn't sing. He didn't sing at all. And Rabbeinu Omer lahabala bris, he said to the person who was having the bris, he should ask the chazan, why isn't he singing? The chazan responded, I don't have a voice right now to sing. I don't have a voice to sing. Ana Admorzal. So Rabbeinu answered, Ve'amar, ani etein lekol. I'm going to give him a call. I'm going to give him a voice. So you're going to see that I will give him a voice. So in Torah, and specifically in the lashon of the Gemara, when you have something that a kol is yotzei, goes out, right? It means kind of something like a rumor goes out. Like when something happens in the city, it creates a kol, and all of a sudden everybody knows about it, right? So what Rabbeinu is saying over here, and you'll see the Ruach HaKodesh that was going on in this story, is he doesn't think he has a voice. I'll give him a call. I'll give him a voice, and we'll see what it is. So there were other people there, and they started to sing. And when he left the table, when this chazan left the table, Rabbeinu said to him, Haloya pasuk omer, doesn't the pasuk say, V'roye zoynos yoivad hoin zeh hakol? Doesn't the pasuk say that those who chase after prostitutes will lose their wealth? Those who are acting funny with the opposite gender, right, and doing things they shouldn't be doing, they lose their wealth. So the Gemara says on that, Al tikre hoin ela garoin, garoincha, right? Not only do they lose their wealth, the Gemara itself says not their wealth, but their voice, their throat, their voice. This is what Rabbeinu said as this person left the table, right? Bitmiya, and in like a wonderment, he was asking this, saying, Amar Kach, this is how he said it. V'loi hevinu hadibur hazeh, and no one really understood what he was saying. They didn't get exactly what he was saying. Ach, l'Shabbos hasheni, but the next Shabbos, hayagam ken ben zachar etzel ish echad me'a'ir va'bal abris haya ish ani ve'chazan loy balasham. So the next Shabbos, Baruch Hashem, it was a big 2 weeks in the city. Another baby boy was born. So there's another Shalom Zachar, but this time the Baal Habayis of the Shalom Zachar was very poor. He wasn't a wealthy person, and the Chazan decided not to show up. Right? He thought, I'm not gonna. It's just a poor, a nebbish person. I'm not gonna bother showing up. So he didn't come. V'hayusham anoshim, and there was a bunch of people there. Asher chora lahem apam. They mamash got very angry. Al Chazan alzeh. They got really mad at the Chazan. Why didn't he come? It's his job. And this nice yid who doesn't have a lot of money, he has to miss out and be embarrassed that the Chazan's not coming to his house? It's not right. They got very upset. So because the last week guy was a serious pillar of the community, a wealthy person. But this guy, who was the poor guy, the Chazan didn't want to go to. Naskim sham sheyilchu shnei anashim leveisoi likrei loy v'yachrichu loy sheyelech sheloi levayesh es ba'al bris hani hazeh. So they decided 2 of the guys are going to go. They're going to walk to this Chazan's house, and they're going to tell him to come. So the Baal Habayis, this poor guy's not embarrassed. They got there, he wasn't there. So they asked his wife, "Where's your Chazan husband?" They probably said it with less contempt than I just did. Sha'amar, shehu hoylech leven hazachar hazeh, and she told them that he went to the Shalom Zachar, where you guys just came from. V'nitmu al zeh mazeh, and they were flabbergasted. What's going on here? Ubidal Shabbos Kodesh achar Suda is Shabbos Kodesh lehechan hochim. After the Suda on Shabbos, if you don't go to the Shalom Zachar, where are you going? So, just imagine, this is a different time. You're in the middle of Europe, really in Russia, and it's nighttime. Yidden are not going out and prancing around and going from house to house. And there's no lights, there's no nothing, right? After your Shabbos Suda, you're at home. You're staying at home. You're going to sleep. If you're not going to the Shalom Zachar, you're not going anywhere. So they were very surprised about this. This is mamish. What a story. Haklal, heim hayu yoidim, shedarkol al pi roiv yesh lo yedid echad shehoich lebeisoi v'chashvoi she'efshar halach sham. But they knew that this Chazan had one special friend in the city that he went to his house all the time. It's like maybe he went over to that guy's house for some reason. Ach yadu shoysa ish nasa shavuazu ve'ino bebeisoi. But they knew that guy had been traveling that week and he wasn't home. See where this is going? He was on a business trip. He wasn't home. But they thought, Afal Pikein, Hachal Sham, Adavku Dallas the Sham. So they would go anyway and they knock on the door. Ki hayula abayis shnei pesachim, because the house had 2 doors. He had a front door and a back door. V'loy anu lehem shum. I don't know what that means. Anyway, they didn't answer him at all. Va'agav ra'u shebarach hachazan me'adalas hasheni b'bayis hayu afav v'choshech. And they saw in the back, the Chazan was running away from the back door. And it was total darkness. What's going on? Umikoidem ezizman rananu acharav sheyesh loy hekeris im eshes chaveroi ach chaveroi lo yadu. And then it came out afterwards that there was rumors going around that he was getting a little bit too friendly with the wife of his buddy. But they didn't know for sure, right? Okay, but now they saw with their own eyes that really it was true. Vayatza hakol be'ir, and the kol went out in the city. The voice went out in the city, alav, about him. Ubarach me'a'ir hazois the merchakim, and he mamish ran away from the city. So that kol, if you remember, he said, he doesn't have a voice, I'll give him a voice. And this was the Shabbos before. Yatza kol ir the merchakim, v'hayu kol echad me'anshi ha'ir, me'idim v'niskaimim masha amur admor she'yitein lekol. And everyone remembered what had happened at that Shalom Zachar and what Rebbe Nachman said. Rahman al-Islam, Mikol Kazeh, speak at Ratzin Leimar, he wanted to say, this type of voice was going out. Now they understood what he was saying with Ruach HaKodesh. And in that house where he was messing around, there was a bird's nest, and the birds were always chirping and singing over there. He said like this. He said, I'm a specialist in music, and I know way more about music than you do. I go to that house specifically because I love to hear all these birds singing. And when I hear the birds singing, I understand deep things about music from hearing the birds singing. That's what he said, the reason he goes to that house. Why was he really going to that house? Not for the birds, right?
Learn about the birds and the bees.
Yes, there's so many jokes to be made at this point in the story. And on that Shabbos that Rabbeinu was there before, Amar Az HaTorah Hazois, he gave over this Torah that we're about to learn, Akrukta, which is called Akrukta, which we'll speak about in a second. V'ra'u achar kach mamish Ruach HaKodesh, and they saw afterwards mamish the Ruach HaKodesh that Rebbe Nachman had. What went on over here? Ki ha'maisa shel ha'chazan shenizvada me'oisoi, pardon me, nizvada me'itoi ha'yekashenasa admor me'ladizhin. Because this whole maisa that happened was right after Rabbi Nachman left the city of Ladizhin. And then this whole thing happened. That was the next week. And it happened to be that after this situation, all of the people of the city became followers of Rabbi Nachman right away. Ukafisha Rabbeinu Amar ba'Torah azois shetikun sheyuchlu lishmoya negina mikol adam hu sheyilmod begemara mishnayos balayla. So one of the things we're going to see is that the tikkun that Rabbeinu gives us in this Torah is that if you want to be able to hear negina, singing, from a person who's not kosher and not be affected negatively spiritually by it, you should learn Torah Shabbal Peh in the nighttime, meaning Mishnah or Gemara, Shisha Sidrei Mishnah, right? In the nighttime. And that, we're going to see, is going to explain how it all works. Shisha Sidrei Mishnah. Right? You should learn that Torah Shabbal Peh in the nighttime, and that will somehow, we're going to see, is going to explain exactly how all that works. We'll give you this tikkun. So right away, Asu tikkun be'ir hazois v'kavu b'chol batei midrashim. They made this big tikkun in that city, and they made up in all the Beis Midrashes in the city. Achar tefilas arvis, after Mariv, they got into chaburas, ve'lamdu Mishnah Gemara, and they learned Mishnah and Gemara. V'haya Kiddush Hashem gadol ad lamadai, and there was a tremendous Kiddush Hashem from what happened over here. B'shem Admor, b'shem Rabbeinu. Zechus hayagen aleinu. Gam ata. Also now we should learn Mishnah and Gemara. We should do the same thing, right? But basically what happened over here, they saw, first of all, that he taught this Torah that speaks specifically about this idea of music coming from non-kosher sources, and it's going to be mind-blowing, talk about that the upper sources of music is from these spiritual entities which are birds. And we'll see how it all comes together with this story. But what happened over here, they saw the tremendous Ruach HaKodesh, that right at that little Shalom Zachar, Rabbi Nachman blew the whole thing open, and when he was gone is when everything was revealed already. So it was a tremendous Kiddush Hashem. But that's the story that starts off this Torah called Akrukta. Everybody with me? Wild story, eh? Love that story. Okay, so let's begin. Akrukta. Okay, so I'm sure you all remember that the first 15 Torahs in Likutei Moharan are patterned after these 15 stories, the Guzmois, the Rabbi Bar Chana, these wild, amazing stories of Rabbi Bar Chana that are brought in the Gemara Bava Basra. So we've seen in the first 2 Torahs, there was 2 of these stories, and they all came in the middle. The explanation was given. In this Torah, the Rabbi Bar Chana story is at the beginning of the Torah. Okay, so let's see. And you can see if you can understand what this Torah means before Rebbe Nachman explains it, what this story means. Amar Rabbi Bar Chana. Rabbi Bar Chana said like this: L'didi chazili ai akrukta. I happened to see this certain frog, dahave ki akra de Hagronia, that was the size of the city of Hagronia. Huge frog, the size of the city of Hagronia. V'akra de Hagronia kamahave, And how big was the city of Hagronia? Aqueduct Hagronia? Shitin Bate. It was made 60 houses. That's how big it was, the city. Asa Tanina Bala. A snake came along, large snake came along and swallowed that frog. Asa Pushkansa U Bala Lesanina. Then a female raven came along and swallowed that snake. I don't know why it swallowed the snake. Just kidding. Okay. Usalik Yasiv Bilana. And then it flew up and sat in the branch of a tree. Ta Chazi Kama Nafish Chela de Ilana. Come now and see how strong that tree branch was.
Must have been a pretty big bird.
That's the story. Right? Also, Ami, by the way, you jokingly said must have been a pretty big bird, right? But the last line of the story is, how amazing was this branch?
Yes.
Right? A frog the size of a gigantic city of 60 houses, a big town, is eaten by a snake that's able to eat such a huge frog. And then that snake is eaten by a gigantic female raven that can eat this huge, I don't know how big it is we're holding now, right? And then this gigantic raven flies up and goes and sits on a branch. And the end of the story is, what an amazing branch. Right? Very unusual story, right? So we're going to have to see. We're going to get to the meaning of it in the end. So let's see. First of all, Rabbeinu brings the explanation of the Rashbam as to what's going on here. Akrukta, so akrukta means tzvardeya, a frog. Ka'akrukta Hagronia. Gadol haya ka'oise krach. So it was as big as this town of Hagronia. That's how big the frog was. V'akrukta Hagronia kamahave, shitin bati. So how big was that city? So the comment of the Rashbam is Talmuda Kamarla. The Gemara is going to explain it, is what that usually means. The Gemara is going to explain it. Asa Tanina, then a snake came, Rabba Kamarla. This is now Rabba Bar Chana, who's saying over that the snake came. Upushkansa, Oyrev Nekeva. It's a female raven. Those are the comments of the Rashbam. Let's go. Here we go. Okay, Hine. Says Rabbeinu, Hine. Misha Shemei Nagina Mimenagin rasha. Someone who hears a melody, a tune from a rasha, from an evil person, who's the singer. Kasha lo'ila avodas abayre. It makes his serving Hashem very difficult. Kasha lo'ila avodas abayre. It's hard for him to serve Hashem when he hears music from a rasha. Ukesheshemeya mimenagin kasher v'hagun. And when he hears music from a singer who is kasher v'hagun, who's a wonderful kosher person, a person of stature, a holy person. Azai toivloi. Then it's good for him. Kamoshi Yisbar, as we're going to explain. Right? Self-explanatory. We don't need to go into that. Kihine, because behold, kol hanagina nimsheches minatziporim. The voice of song is drawn down from the birds. Let's see what that means. Kedeisa b'midrash, as the midrash says, mipnei ma mitzayra taharasa taluya b'shtei tziporim chayos taharais. Medrash says in Vayikra, why is it that the purification of a mitzayra is dependent upon the sacrifice of two wild type of kosher birds? Right? So in other words, someone is, everyone knows what a mitzayra is? Someone who spoke Lashon Hara or whatever. The word mitzayra means moitzei ra. They spoke evil out of their mouth, right? So someone who does this, and they get afflicted with tzaras, with skin afflictions, right? Because of this, like the famous story of Miriam in the Torah, right? The korban they have to bring to repent for this and to fix it up, to be matar, to become pure, is two birds. Shtei tziporim chayos taharais. So what's the reason for that? Asks the Medrash. Yavoy kalanya v'yechaper al kalanya. So we should bring the voice of these two birds, and they should make a kapara, an atonement, on the voice that person said over. Right? Birds are chatterers. They're flying everywhere in their, you ever not able to sleep at like 4 a.m. in the summertime? What do you start to hear? Right? That's their chatterboxes. So those chatterboxes come to make an atonement for the chatterbox who couldn't keep their mouth shut. Yeah? Ki nilka machmas koilai, because this person was smitten because of his voice. Shediber lashon hara, because he said lashon hara. Nimtza, mishu kasher, comes out that someone who's a kasher person, who's not doing any of this stuff, nimsheches hanagina shaloi min ashtei tziporim chayes taharis, that he draws forth his voice from these two birds, which are chayes taharis, from these two birds. So, what we're going to see over here is that, let's just read what he says over here, 1 second. Yeah. So he's now going to explain what we mean by this. What do we mean by these two birds? The Kasuv b'Zoyar, the Zoyar says, the Holy Zoyar says like this, going on the same spot. Shashtei tziporim hanal yoinkim me'asar d'navin yankin. So these two birds, basically like this. There is a supernal existence. Somewhere way up there, there's this spiritual existence of these two birds. And these two birds are where the music comes from. Way upstairs somewhere in the spiritual realms. Right? A spiritual existence called Shtei Tziporim. Okay? The Zohar tells us that those Shtei Tziporim, they draw forth their voice from the same place that prophets draw forth their prophecy. So the place where prophets receive their prophecy from, and it's drawn forth, so too these two birds draw down this type of voice of nagina, of music, from the same place. They come from the same place in the spiritual realms. Lekach, nikra ha-menagen, chazan. That's why, if you ever wondered, this is pretty wild, the chazan is called a chazan. What does the lashon of chazan mean? Right? Milashon chazoin. Lashon chazoin. So a chazoin means a prophetic vision. Right? If you know the famous one sefer haftarah of Ovadia, starts off Chazoin Ovadia, the vision of Ovadia. Right? A chazoin is a spiritual vision. We also say we want to see you return to the base of Mikdash Hashem. Right? That's a spiritual type of type of perspective, type of looking. Right? So we're saying over here that just like a prophetic vision comes from this certain existence upstairs and is drawn down, so too the voice of Nagina, the voice of the song, comes from that same place. Therefore, they're unbelievably, that no one ever told me this before, have the same name. A chazoin is a prophetic vision. And what do we call the guy who sings from the Amud? A chazan. They come from the same place. Isn't that unbelievable? Hainu lashon nevuah. It's a lashon of nevuah, of prophecy. Ki lekeach hanagina me'aser de neviim yankin. Because where they take the nagina from is from this place where the neviim also draw forth their prophecy from. Right? That's what a chazan really is. Wow. So we're starting to see, once again, getting deeper into the picture, that the place where music comes from is a very, very high place, a very high special spiritual place. Ukashahamenagein hu rasha. But when this menagein, this person who's doing the singing, is a rasha, is an evil person, azai hu loikeach hanagina sheloi mitziporim acheres shebaklipa. He draws forth his nagina, his music, from two other birds that are from the tzad of klipa. So everybody remembers the concept of klipa and the concept of ze lu'u masze barasi. Let's say it like this. In the spiritual realms, there is always a counterbalance to kedusha and to kedusha. Right? So for example, we saw it already in a few different ways. In the first Torah, we saw it with regards to malchus. There's the malchus de kedusha, the malchus of Hashem, the kingdom of Hashem. Right? And corresponding to that is the malchus de sitra achra. And the power of Malchus is going to enter the world. And it's there. And the question is, are we going to pull that Malchus to the side of Kedusha? And if we don't pull it to the side of Kedusha, it's going to be usurped by the side of the Sitra Achra, by the evil side. Right? But you always have to have these two things in balance. And really, it comes down to, in a simple way of understanding, that there has to be balance in the force. If you know what I'm saying. There has to be this balance in the world so that we can have free will. Right? If every time we did a good deed, angels started singing and we felt amazing, right? Every time we did a mitzvah, there's no challenge. We wouldn't have free will anymore. And if we did a bad thing, we got like searing pain, right? We'd never have that. So it has to be like this way, that there's a balance. And it's hard for us to bring things to the good side. But the point being, there's always a counterbalance in the spiritual realm. From the Kedusha, there has to be a counterbalance on the other side. So just like there's this place up there, a holy place, where these two birds, spiritual existences of birds, draw down melodies and nigina into the world, right? And prophecies drawn from that place, there's another two birds that are on the evil side. And that's where a person who's an evil person is going to draw their nagina from. It's pretty scary stuff, right? So you can either have these melodies, which I think we can all acknowledge. Let's just stop for a second, right? We talked about it a bit in the beginning, but we all have a feeling that music does something to us on a spiritual and emotional level, right? Have you ever watched, have you ever seen like a movie and the sound's off? Or for some reason the music is off, right? And you see people walking around, it's boring and stupid, and right? It doesn't really, but then when you turn on the suspenseful music, right? Or you turn on the inspiring music, all of a sudden you have a whole different emotional connection to what you're seeing, right? Totally uplifting, a totally different story. You know, at any event, at a chasna, at a wedding, right? You see the bride starts walking down the aisle, right? Or the groom, whoever. So if they're playing amazing, inspiring music, it puts a whole new emotional character, spiritual character to the event, right? So it does something to us. So the question is, when it's doing something to us, do we want that to be coming from the side of Kedusha? This spiritual existence of the two birds that are on the holy side? Or do we want to be drawing from that evil side into us, right? That's the question. Because of Zohar, ki atziporim shebaklipa yoinkim midade hamalchus. Because it's written in the Zohar that these birds on the other side, that are in the klipa side, the negative side, they suckle on the dadim of the malchus, on the sucking on the breasts of the malchus. They're meaning what? They're drawing down. They're receiving their life force from the malchus. V'chad ispeleg leila kedein karuza kares. And when it comes to be nighttime, a voice goes out and says, "Katziporim ha'achuzos bapach kahem." Just like these birds are achuzos bapach, they're caught in this trap. So too are the people who are drawing down from them. So, in other words, those people who are receiving this, who are hearing and receiving their voice from these birds on the other side, and they are called in the lashon of the Zohar that they're achuzos bapach. They are caught in the trap up there in the negative side, right? So too are the people who are receiving from them going to be caught in this trap of the negative side. You got to look out. So he says, and we'll finish with this. It's a good place to finish. Vatikun hu sheyuchal lishmoya negina mikol adam. So what's the tikkun? That you're able to hear negina from any person. It's by learning Torah Shebal Peh in the nighttime. Hainu Gemara, meaning Gemara, or he says in another place Mishnah, Shehi bechinas laila, because Gemara, Torah Shebal Peh is connected conceptually to the night. Kedeiz b'Medrash, like the Medrash says. How do we see that Torah Shebal Peh, Gemara and Mishnah are connected to nighttime? The Medrash says like this: K'shaya Moshe Bahar Arbayim Yom v'Arbayim Laila. When Moshe Rabbeinu was up on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights, Lo Hayedeya Masay Yom v'Masay Laila. He didn't know when it was day or when it was night. He was up in the spiritual realms, right? There's no light, there's no darkness. He's all in ruchnias. He's not in physicality. He didn't know when it was day or night. So how did he know? Rak al yedeh zeh shahaya loimed Torah shebekasav hayedeh shuyam. What did he know? He knew that when the Rebbe Nachman was teaching him written Torah, that it was daytime. Ukeshalom Torah shebal peh, and when Hashem was teaching him the oral Torah, Torah shebal peh, which is Gemara and Mishnah, hayedeh shehu laila. He knew that it was nighttime. Says the Medrash. Nimtza shah Torah shebal peh hi bechinas laila. We see that Torah shebal peh is intrinsically connected to the nighttime. Nighttime is the time of Torah Shebal Peh. Like our rabbis say in the Gemara in Sanhedrin, B'machashakim hoishivani, that he returned me in the darkness. Ze Talmud Bavli. That is referring to the Talmud Bavli. Ukasiv v'lachoshech kara laila, and another pasuk says, so meaning the darkness, the Gemara is telling us, is referring to the Talmud Bavli. The Talmud Bavli is referred to as darkness. V'lachoshech kara laila, and the pasuk says in Bereshis, and Hashem called the darkness nighttime. Hainu al yedei sheyilmad shas yitakein hashis is kain shabakane shemehem yotzi hakol. That through learning the Shisha Sidarim, Shas is an acronym, by the way, for Shisha Sidre Mishnah, the 6 orders of Mishnah, we are able to fix and repair the 6 muscular aspects of the throat, something to do with the lines in the trachea. I have a diagram upstairs that I'll bring for next time, that there's 6 like circular things, cartilage things in the trachea, from what I'm told. So by learning Torah Sheba'al Peh in the nighttime, we fix this aspect up. Shemehem Yotze Hakol, that's where the voice comes from. V'zehu Kumi Roini Balayla, and this is what the pasuk in Eicha refers to. Kumi, wake up, get up, Roini, and sing to me in the nighttime. Hainu Shi'eh Takuma Larina, that the rina means singing, voice, is glad singing, happy singing. That singing should get up, not get up and sing in the nighttime. That the roini, the rina, that glad singing should have a getting up, should be raised up, should get stronger. Why? Balayla, because of the nighttime. Hainu al yedei halayla, through the nighttime. She Gemara Shas, which is the Gemara and the Shisha Sidrei Mishneh. So in other words, this whole construct that we're making over here. By the way, why is Talmud Bavli referred to as nighttime? Another reason we see. Some people say this. So, if anyone who's ever learned the Talmud Bavli knows that the derech of the Talmud Bavli is very mivulbal, right? Bavli, it comes from Babel, Babylon, whatever. But also, the word means confusion, right? And the Talmud Bavli is very, very confusing, right? It's written bedavka in a way that it's super hard to understand, and it's super hard to follow. And it's like people can spend, literally, I remember, in a certain type of yeshiva, you will literally spend 3 months learning less than 1 page of Gemara, right? Because there's so much back and forth and depth and lack of clarity, right? But that's the avoida of the Talmud Bavli, is to live in that world and to learn and to extract whatever you can out of it. Mashenke in the Talmud Yerushalmi is a little more clear and straightforward, right? So it's in the Zohar also, but you see that this aspect exists between the two, and this is one of the reasons why they themselves call the Talmud Bavli darkness, because in the dark you don't see so clearly, and things are a little more confusing, right? That's the aspect of the Talmud Bavli, but it has a connection to, and that's all said, by the way, with total positivity. That's not a negative view of the Talmud Bavli. It's supposed to be like that, right? And what Rabbeinu is telling us over here is that it has an intrinsic connection to the nighttime. Torah Sheba'al Peh and the Talmud Bavli and Gemara, they all have a connection to the nighttime. And by using it in the nighttime, we're able to rectify this aspect of Negina. And he's bringing from these Pesukim that the Roini, the Rina, have a takuma, will be lifted up, will be raised up, al yedei halayla, through the nighttime. This is what this pasuk is telling us. He's going to go through after this, but we're going to stop now, and he's going to explain how there's a deeper connection even, and we're going to see in the spiritual realms what is drawn down only in the nighttime, right? So many of you know that one of the biggest Breslover minhagim is to wake up by chatzos halayla every night at midnight, and from midnight to already say tikkun chatzos, and to daven and to learn until morning time, until davening time in the morning, right? So there's a tremendous power to learning in the nighttime, in the darkness, and this is one of the fixes for this aspect, and we're going to see in 2 weeks from now what it is that we're drawing down and how it's working, what the channel is, and where it comes from. So in the meantime, let's just do a quick summary. We're explaining that the story of Rabbi Baruch Hana is gonna be explained through the idea that it's important to hear music from a kosher source. That if we hear music singing from a rasha, then it's going to make it kosher l'avodas Hashem, l'avodas haboreh. It's going to make our avodas Hashem very difficult. It's going to pull us down in a certain sense. Mashenkin, on the other side, it's going to lift us up if we hear from a kosher source. And we understood that the place where negina, where music is drawn down from, is the spiritual existence, which is called shtei tziporim, which is called two birds. And that spiritual existence of these two birds draws its energy from the same place that nevuah, that neviim draw their prophecy from. And so we saw that nevuah is called chazon, and negina is called, the person who sings is called a chazan, from the same word, because they come from the same place. They come from a holy place. And we understood that someone who's a rasha who sings, where are they getting their negina from? It's not coming from that place. It's coming from the shtei tzipurim on the other side, the negative side. And so they're drawing from a tremendously negative place. Those birds that are considered caught in some type of spiritual trap, so too the people that hear that are caught in some type of spiritual trap. And it's a tremendously negative experience. But Rabbeinu tells us, what do you do if you go somewhere and you hear rasha singing? You gotta plug your ears and run away?
No.
What do you do? So maybe you would. Maybe you would. But there's a vaccine, right? There's a vaccine for hearing music from an evil source, and that is learning a little bit of I didn't say a little bit, he didn't say a little bit, I'm saying a little bit. Learning Mishnah or Gemara in the nighttime, right? So when you get home, every night, make a Seder, right? So if you don't already learn a lot of Mishnah or Gemara, so everyone right now can start to pull out a Mishnah and learn one Mishnah in the nighttime, right? 5 minutes, that's it. Whenever you can. And Bezos Hashem next week, in 2 weeks from now, we'll start to get into a whole new level of depth in this Torah. Any questions? Marilyn?
I know who's a rasha. If I sing,
You're absolutely right. Not only that, this is a great question. Marilyn is asking, how do you know who's a rasha?
I'll give you an example.
Right? So here's this is important.
Floyd.
That's an easy one. But no, here's a much more important example. That is, you walk into a shul, and you see someone standing at the Amud, and they have a long beard, and all the right clothing, to whatever makes you comfortable, maybe a short beard, whatever turns your spiritual crank, right?
All the rote is there.
Knitted kippah, whatever you like, he's got it, right? And he's standing up there, he looks the part. That guy could be a rasha. He could be behaving like the worst person you can imagine behind closed doors. You never know, right? You can't know, right? So, I mean, like anything in this realm, we should always be making our best effort, right? And one of the other most important principles in Breslov is to have the proper ratzon, the proper desire, that I want to only hear music from a kosher source. And I'm going to always try. And wherever I go, please Hashem, help me to only hear kosher music. It's very important, right? But what he's saying over here is this is a way that even if you get into that situation, that you can, it's like the vaccine.
The music
Right?
is kosher, or the musician is kosher.
Both. They have to be both. In other words, we're saying like this: the person who's the holy person who's singing is drawing that negina down from a holy place. So he's a holy person, and what he's bringing down is holy. On the other side, he's not a holy person, and what he's bringing down is not holy.
The
Right?
same music can be drawn by a yashar or
Yeah.
a tzaddik.
Yeah. So it's
and-
going to be.
and
It's
the
going to
rasha,
depend.
The same music. So
Well,
is it the
no,
music
no.
or is it the musician?
No. In other words, the experience of that music, right?
Okay.
Not like the songwriting, the experience of that music, right? Like I'll tell you what, I have the following experience. That is that, I used to be many years ago a professional musician, and I used to play all over the place, different places in the world, and all kinds of music, right? And I didn't really want to give up listening to this different types of secular music, and so that for a while I hated all Jewish music because I wasn't used to it, and some of it is, in the last many years, Jewish music has taken a tremendous rise, right? There's all kinds of music now that didn't exist 20 years ago, right? And so I was just like, I didn't listen to Jewish music because I was like, I can't stand any of this. It's all terrible. And I stuck to that. But after many, many, many years, it's to the point now where if I hear that kind of music, I feel terrible. I can't handle it. It makes me feel yucky. Even to the point where, I won't say who it is, there's a certain singer who was religious at one point and who no longer is, and who came out with, well, I don't want to say he's no longer religious. He seems to be quite religious, but he's no longer in what we would necessarily call frum, let's say, right? But so he put out an album and he has a few songs on it, and one song, I think, is like one of the best Jewish songs I've ever heard. It's super good, very, very well written. But every time I listen to it, I just feel yucky. And I'm trying to like it. I didn't go in with that mindset, but I just feel like it's not coming from the right place, So
it's not the music again. I'm getting back.
It's
to
both.
It's not the music.
Sure it is.
No, you're extrapolating one onto the other. You're superimposing here. If
It's not the songwriting,
no,
but it's the music.
Same music.
Yeah.
Same music.
Yeah.
Had the musician been the same sounds, the same harmonics, the same everything.
Yeah.
Had it been had the musician,
Yeah.
the singer in this
Listen to
case,
this, yeah.
been from
Yeah.
when he is singing it, no change in the tune at all,
Yeah.
you wouldn't have felt yucky.
Right.
So in other words, you're superimposing the singer
Right.
onto the song. So it's the singer which is the issue,
Right.
not the song.
We have a slight difference in defining terms.
Okay.
So you're saying the song, the way the song is written.
No, I'm saying
No,
the
no,
sound,
yeah,
the
yeah,
sound
yeah.
that comes to your ears.
So the music is what is coming from the singer, and then you have the singer. The singer is a rasha. What's coming out of him is going to be on the side of rishus, regardless of who wrote the song, right? But I'll tell you something that we're going to see, and you see there's a few people who do like this, the Lubavitchers do this also, that there's a certain merit in taking non-Jewish songs and flipping them out, flipping them over. So there's a few songs in different groups where they think they did it once with the Russian national anthem, the French national anthem, and they turned them into songs of Kedusha, and he's going to speak about it later on in this Torah also. Yeah. So, yeah, exactly.